high atop the pastoral center of the Diocese of Camden, you're listening to Talking Catholic.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Talking Catholic. It's Kari Janice here, and I'm back, and I'm with my good friend, my co-host, Mike Walsh, with the laughter.
Kari, you haven't recorded a podcast with us in a long time.
I know. I was listening to one, and you mentioned that, and I was like, texting you the next day, Mike, I haven't been on a podcast. Here I am. And that's why I'm back, because I've been on hiatus. It's been nice.
Well, you've been on hiatus because you've been working. Yeah. As I mentioned in one of the podcasts, you're the hardest working member of the podcast team.
Thank you. Well, it's, as everyone knows, I work on a college campus, so it's the very busy time. And then catch me in 4 weeks from today, and I'll be on college break. It'll be so nice. It'll be the very slow time. So, was our last podcast together the Jason Everett podcast? It was. Yeah. Wow. I try to do one a month, so that was October, and we're recording
technically
November 30th.
That's right. So you made it.
I've made my quota.
Well, I'm glad that you're here, and we're recording in the friendly confines of Newman House at Rowan Catholic Campus Ministry, just off the campus of Rowan University. One of our favorite places to record. And as a matter of fact, as I was walking in, your young Catholics in the building were off doing some Advent and Christmas videography. Mm-hmm. I thought that was very sweet. That was very nice. They had the tree up and everything like that. Mm-hmm. Very cool. A wee bit early for Advent, but that's okay.
Yeah, we're getting into it.
Actually, that begs a good question that I don't know the answer to. So, we're Catholic. We believe in the importance of the Advent season. Mm-hmm. You and I have done podcasts on that in the past.
Sure.
And that it's important to differentiate Christmas from Advent. Mm-hmm. Now, that being said, mm-hmm. we see that, people started decorating for Christmas, November 1st.
Yeah,
as soon as we got past Halloween.
Halloween was down and everyone was ready.
November 1st was it. The trees aside, just the trees, mm-hmm. and some minimal mm-hmm. decorations. Is that allowed during the Advent season, in your mind?
I literally, within the past hour, just talked about this with my RCA class, and I said, if we were really, truly following our liturgical calendar, none of this would be up. That's literally what I said. I said it would be up December 24th after the Christmas Eve Mass, and we would be in the Christmas season truly in the liturgical church calendar. Our world has, especially in where we live in the United States, is very secularized, and as we see, November 1st, it's just go right into Christmas, and December 26th, right into Valentine's Day or whatever else is next, and everything is down. And so, one of the ways that I was telling our students to keep that theme of Advent and to keep it in our heart is to really reflect upon what is this season about. It is a penitential season. We know that, from the liturgical colors. We know this from what our church teaches. We know this from the readings. We know this, that it draws us into our self-reflection, because Advent's not just about Christ's birth, but it's also about his second coming. And so we have to keep that in the focus. So I was giving our students some ways to kind of keep that as the focus. First, daily prayer, trying to attend daily Mass, trying to pray the Rosary, meditating on the joyful mysteries, particularly during this season, because we recall Jesus, the Annunciation. We recall all of those times that we lead us into Advent and through Advent, and of course with the incarnation of Christ himself and the Nativity. We also can do that praying the Rosary, reading Luke's Gospel, mm-hmm. right? Especially the first 2 chapters, so important. And then some other ways. We are recording on November 30th, as I mentioned, but this is going to come out right after the first Sunday of Advent, during the first week of Advent. Mm-hmm. And so we'll have already started, but if you can remember, if you're already doing it, keep going. The Christmas Novena, which begins on November 30th and lasts 25 days to Christmas Eve, it starts on St. Andrew's Feast Day, and it's a beautiful little meditation prayer. I've been doing it since I was a little girl. I love it so much. And it really, yes, I came across it as a little child with probably 10 years old, little prayer card. I was like, this is so cool. I want to do this. And I've always prayed it. And so I've gotten our students praying it. This year, I felt so called. I put it on my Instagram story. I put it on the Youth and Young Adult Ministry Insight story. I was like, I'm getting this out here to everybody. That's a great little way to prepare an Advent. Another way, too, is to give something up. We only think about that associated with Lent, but to give something up so that we're kind of denying ourselves, so that when we really do get to that Christmas solemnity, that high holy day of Christmas, which falls on a Monday this year, so we're double dutying with Mass, especially if you go Christmas Eve. You got to go the fourth Sunday of Advent, then at night. But we really do need to deny ourselves a little bit. Maybe that's just time and putting more time into prayer. Just denying. I suggested, and maybe it could be this one, I'm not sure, or maybe Talking Saints, but I suggested even to our students, denying yourself listening to some music and maybe listen to a spiritual podcast. So where you're learning and growing in the faith. I love Catechism of the Year. I'm going strong with it. I'm recommend it to everybody.
Whatever.
And I really do feel that, especially college-age students who are trying to desire to grow in their faith, adults who are trying to grow in their faith, even high schoolers that some of them around this table today will learn from, it's a great tool, anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes a day, to really just bite off a little piece of faith to meditate on and to be with you throughout the day. So easy. It's in your AirPods. Like I do it at the gym. I do it driving and going to and from work. So like whatever it is, so that might just equate to you maybe not picking up the Catechism of the Year right now, because it is towards the end of the year and towards the end of the Catechism, that last pillar of the Catechism. But maybe it's just reading from the Catechism each day or reading from the Bible each day. So there's my little Advent spiel in 5 minutes or less.
I love
how to go into Advent.
I love that I asked you
deeper.
about if a Christmas tree was okay to be up, and we got that. Yeah. But I'll be honest with you, I was sitting there listening to you going, it's like, oh, that's right, she's a youth minister. She actually knows this stuff. She's not just my podcast host.
No, I need to know this stuff. And I'm always learning more. And one other way that we failed to mention right in the start, replace the Christmas tree with the Advent wreath.
That's right. Now that is absolutely true.
Put that right in the center of your dining room table. Light the candles each week. I saw a great meme, so funny. If you ever feel left out or like cut short, think of the fourth Sunday of Advent candle this year. The poor little guy gets lit for only a couple hours because later that day becomes Christmas Eve. So
that's right.
That candle could be lit potentially for up to 6 days, but it can't be because of Advent being cut short the way it fell this year. But that's okay. Recycle it for next year.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be the first one for next year.
I know. One time I tried to do that. I saved my Advent wreath candles, and I was like, what am I doing? They're already all burned. Like, why did I save these?
I save them every single year, and I keep asking myself.
Get lower and lower.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's fine.
It kind of takes away the point, though, because you're like lighting the new one.
Well,
and then watching it. I'm like, that missed the point. I don't know.
In our house, it's actually because we're cheap, and we don't want to get new ones. We still have the lowest one, so it's halfway to go. We could make it to the next one. We'll see.
That's all right.
But you are right. This is the one. This is the one season where when it's that short Advent where I actually kind of feel gypped.
Yeah, I do too.
Because I really like Advent season. I really do. And I have to give you credit. For those listeners who listen to Talking Saints, the one that came out on November 30th, they included that the St. Andrew's Novena as well.
You know what? It's come up
and
like
Lori and
so
Pete.
Much recently.
I never heard of it before until that.
No way.
No.
Oh wow. Yeah. You're missing out, Mike.
That words.
I was so pleased because just today it came up. I posted it in my group chat. One of my co-RCIA teachers posted in the RCIA group chat. Father Rossi mentioned it at church this morning that it was in the bulletin. I'm like, we are all on the same page. And Lori and Pete, we're on the same page. Mike,
not on
you're
that
out
page.
in left field. I don't know where you are.
I don't even know if I'm in the right book.
Mike's putting up his Christmas tree. That's what he's doing.
No. We're actually the other way around. My father's birthday is on December 6th, so the rule in my house was no Christmas stuff until
Saint Nick's feast day.
No, exactly. So it was never until at least the second week of December.
Okay.
And then in my house, we don't decorate the tree until Christmas Eve.
That's a good tradition. I know some people that do that.
Yeah, we put it up. We appreciate the greenery, the evergreen nature of it, the life and everything like that. But other than that, and then we'll decorate a little, but we don't get hardcore, Christmas until we're pretty close.
Yeah.
But, thank you for that, because we were talking about doing an Advent podcast, and I wasn't entirely certain we were going to have time to pull it off, because we're actually backlogged with a bunch of episodes.
Good problem.
I'm going away next week, so we had to record early. So we're actually sort of cutting into our original one a little bit. But who do we have with us today? And why are we talking to these people?
I mean, Advent is
I'm surrounded by young people right now.
We're excited. I'm excited. This is one of my favorite things to talk about, which is youth ministry, but more specifically, NCYC. Let's see if they got it. NCYC. They know it, which is the National Catholic Youth Conference. So we have many youth with us here today and some youth ministers who attended it, and I'll let them each introduce themselves.
Hi, so my name's Kat, and I am from Our Lady of Peace Parish in Williamstown, New Jersey.
And what do you do there?
I took over for Kari as the youth minister.
Woo!
Excellent.
Good girl.
And you brought with you to your... Oh, they can introduce themselves.
I'm Luke Johnson. I am also from Our Lady of Peace Parish. I'm part of the core team there, so I work with Kat often.
I'm Emily Hamilton. I'm also part of the core team, and yeah, Kat told me to come, so I'm here with Kat.
Wow,
Hey, girl.
that's exactly how you used to handle it too.
They
Carrie
know.
told me to come, and that's why Kat's here right now.
I know.
It's very good. And on this side of the table, we have.
I am Millet LoCasale. I'm the Director of Youth and Young Adult Ministry at Saint Katherine Drexel in Egg Harbor Township.
Good to see you, Millet. And next to you is.
I'm Sara LoCasale. I am her daughter. I also go to Saint Katherine Drexel. Yeah.
Okay. And finally.
My name's Aerick, and I'm also from SKD Parish in Egg Harbor Township, New Jersey.
But not related.
No,
Okay,
not really.
there we go.
Great.
I would have enjoyed it if Millet brought her entire family. That would have been fun. Cousins, nephews,
were
whatever.
they
They're
all
actually
there.
here, but the two of them are
Yeah.
outside.
Oh, really? Nice.
And they were all at NCYC. As a family. Like,
You really
the
did
whole
make a family
was there.
affair.
Yeah.
Wow, well
Incredible.
done. Well, then my first question is actually for you, Kari. I've never been to NCYC. I've heard those letters often in the 8 years I've worked here. I know it's a youth congress that takes place in Indianapolis.
Conference.
Conference, and beyond that, I don't know much. So what is NCYC?
Yeah, so it is the largest gathering of youth in the United States. It happens every 2 years. It did happen throughout the pandemic in 21, but it was very small scaled. So I think in this special way, these youth sharing about their experiences is a great gift because it's pretty much back in full force, which is great to see. So it happens every 2 years. So the last, like, quote unquote, normal one was 2019, which I think all of us were at, the youth ministers here. Kat as a young adult leader at that time, Alette and myself, leading our ministries. And so I've been to it 5 times myself, and it is a large gathering of the youth to hear different talks, presentations, breakout sessions, some larger, some smaller. Some of the bigger speakers tend to fill the bigger rooms, the smaller kind of starting off speakers fill the smaller rooms, and you get a chance to kind of navigate which direction you want to go, what talks do you want to hear, what do you want your youth to focus on. But the big culmination is coming together for the liturgies, the Mass, confession, adoration, in the big Lucas Oil Stadium, Indianapolis Colts Stadium,
Yeah,
which
that's
is where
cool.
it takes place, at that conference center that's attached to the stadium as well. So it's an amazing experience for young people, and I can't wait to hear all about it, because I was having FOMO a little bit, like watching some of the stories of, like, because I follow a lot of youth groups, like beyond even our diocese, just with youth and young adult ministry insights. And so just seeing the whole vibe of NCYC, the hats, the necklaces, and all that, which I'm sure they'll share about. It was a little tinge of FOMO. I was like, I love it. So great.
If I may just add quickly to that, because of the pandemic, there was some slight changes to how they're handling NCYC now. Before, they do it every 2 years. Now they do it every year. They alternate between Indianapolis and California.
Oh, California, that's right.
So
That's
for
right. I
this
forgot about
year,
that.
the odd years are going to be Indianapolis, and then the even years are going to be California. So it's not as big as 2019, where it was like 20,000.
Got it.
This past one was like 12,000, which is still big. And then some of choose California. I think it was around 8,000 when they were at South Orange in California.
Got it.
So
That's
2024 will be California again, and then the next one will be Indianapolis.
Well,
Thanks for that.
will you want to go to the one in California? Like, would you want to go every year, or do you think you'll stick to every 2
I
years?
think it's too much to be able to go every year. And then plus the distance, too, between where we're at and where California, it's a lot to fundraise. I mean, it's a lot to fundraise as it is going to Indianapolis. So I think the break helps for us to do it every couple of years.
So
Yeah.
let's talk about that. How did you get out to Indianapolis?
We rode the bus. And you want to talk about that bus
That's the
experience?
best part of the weekend. Come on.
I don't know about that. I mean, 30 hours on a bus, 15 hours there, 15 hours back. It's not the best time. Me personally, I slept most of the time, so it wasn't that bad. But the other people that didn't sleep said they had a horrible time. They couldn't get comfortable. They were just staring out the window the whole time. And
Well, wait, we have 3 other people here. Would you be in agreement? It was a terrible experience, or was it, like Kari says, there was joy that came in that sacrifice?
Yeah, I was one of the people who didn't sleep at all. I had to stare out the window the whole time. And I was tempted to sleep on the floor because it was my back is still cramped up from that bus.
Oh, man.
But we had a great bus driver.
Oh, that's cool. How about you guys? Was it
I
that
was
terrible?
one of those people that did not get any sleep on that bus.
Oh, boy.
And I was like so jealous because I'd see the people sitting across from me, and they'd have like a whole like 2 seats to themselves, and they were just laying across it. They had like pillows and everything. They were basically just sleeping in a bed.
Oh,
I was one of those people.
Yes.
Well, I was originally sitting with one of my friends, and then I was like, I couldn't do this because I was cramped up, and I was like, I had such a terrible like neck cramp because I was like leaning on the window. So I was like, I can't do this, and I stood up, and she was sleeping too. I fully just like walked right past her, probably woke her up, and moved to another seat. But I mean, I slept pretty fine. I kind of woke up every couple hours, but I mean, I pretty much slept most of the bus ride.
Yeah, we love it when we can sleep. Well, think about the chaperones that have to chaperone you guys and know what's going on. People like our bus captain, Kat, over here. How was it for you as the bus captain?
I think these kids are spoiled because pulling a carry back in my day, we didn't have extra seats.
That's right.
The bus was full.
Full.
I shared a seat with one of our adult chaperones, and on the way there, it was a little rough, but I think we were really fortunate with both groups that they were quiet and also tired. So they weren't loud. They weren't like, they were good. Yeah. The way home, I think everybody was just exhausted. I slept fine on the way home, and I slept by myself in my own row because I kicked her out.
How many churches were involved in the Camden Diocese? So was it you two?
It was just the two of us.
Just the two of you.
This year.
Okay. So in years past, it's been like 5, 6 at least. So I know there was a former youth minister from our diocese, but he went from Philadelphia Diocese, Jeffrey Shields. So he was telling me it was his first experience there too. But I was like, oh, who'd you go with? You went with Camden? He's like, no, Philly. I was like, that's right, because he works over there now. So, okay, so just the two of you. So how many youth total
Well, there was 32 total from the Diocese of Camden, and I think 9 adults. So do the math.
Oh, okay.
Can anybody help me do the math
32
here?
minus 9?
I think you had
32 minus 9.
Okay, so
because there was 5
20,
and 4.
21 or 23.
3.
Yes.
There's a senior at St. Augustine Prep. There he is.
And we did have one clergy with us, Father Ren Orain. He's the chaplain at Stockton University for Newman Ministry there. And he also helps out at Saint Katherine Drexel.
Okay. So did he come connected with your parish then?
Yes, he did.
How was it for him as a priest attending? Was his first time?
Yes, it was his first time, and he got called in a lot to do confessions. Because I went one time for confession, and there were a lot of seats that were empty for the priests, and the line was long. So they were really trying to get the priests to come. I mean, it's a good problem to have a long line for confession. Yeah. So I think he only signed up for one day, and he ended up signing up. Well, they called him in for all the time. The time that there was confession.
So after your delightful 15-hour drive to Indianapolis, where you saw all that beautiful flat land and not much of anything else, once you got past the Appalachian Mountains, what was the first thing that you did other than checking into the hotel? Were you in a hotel or were you in a church?
Hotel.
Okay, hotel.
Nice hotel, right? It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
We checked into Omni Severin, and it was like closer to the convention center and Lucas Oil, because before we would normally have to take the bus to get to the convention center, and we're stuck there the whole day. But this time around, they changed strategy and booked a hotel that was close by, so we just had to walk to the stadium and to the convention center, which was pretty convenient, I think. I don't know what the others think about that.
It was across from the mall.
Yeah. Nice location. We've been in the hotels attached to the conference back like 2009, 2011.
That was like a while back.
Yeah, we've been in there before, so I know, because then you just have to walk across a ramp and you're right there, which is so nice. It's very convenient because Indianapolis is a little colder. So while we're just kind of getting the cold air now in November, I remember being freezing some years there. How was it? Was it pretty cold while you were there outside?
Yes.
Yeah. And like, you don't want to carry these big heavy coats because you're going to a conference all day and talks. You got to carry it. So like, you're literally in like a t-shirt, maybe a hoodie and a hat. And so you definitely want to be close if possible.
Well, they're teenagers. Even if it was cold, I saw some of them just wearing a t-shirt and nothing else.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I don't see a lot of
element.
jackets with us right now. Come to
they're
think
in
of
their
it. So you check in, you get yourself settled. What's the first part of NCYC that you take part in? Like
The
what?
regional mass, was it?
Yeah, so once we were all settled in around, I think we got there around 1, so about 3 o'clock we walked over to the convention center, and things were just kind of just starting up over there, so there wasn't that many people, but there was a couple groups kind of sitting around getting themselves gathered. And I think the regional mass started at 5, I believe. 4, my bad. So we all gathered in there. I think there was 500 of us in this small little room from the entire state of New Jersey and Pennsylvania. There was like 8 to 12 different dioceses in there, if I remember correctly. I was a lector at that mass, so I got to sit up front and kind of see the entire crowd from what the altar was looking like. So that was cool.
That's nice.
Nice. And did we have any altar servers or anybody involved from our diocese as well in that mass?
Yeah, so my group, we had 9 kids go, and 7 of them were actually partook some way. So
good.
we had 4 greeters, 2 lectors, altar server, and things like that. So it was we were really
nice.
fortunate.
Fantastic.
That sounds awesome. So you have your first mass, and then what's up after that? Like what were the first like sessions you went to, like conference sessions?
Well, for some of us, because the concert was going to start at 7 o'clock.
Concert? Did I forget the concert?
Oh yes, that's
It starts with a concert?
It starts
Always.
with a concert.
Oh,
Did
wow.
anybody want to talk about that?
Yeah. Let me hear about this concert.
Well, I was fortunate enough to be a youth ambassador at for NCYC. So I had like a training basically going over what I was meant to do for the different breakout sessions over the next few days. And after that was completed, we were transported under the stadium. So like
Very
it was like
cool.
special access. We didn't have to wait in such a long line. And what I remember is it was me and my mom and then 3 others, and we were in the stadium waiting for the rest of our parish to come meet up with us, and it was one of the most stressful things ever because you're not allowed to like save seats.
Oh,
Which-
sure. Yeah.
Everyone did it. I saw everyone doing it. So,
Quote unquote, not allowed.
yeah, so the concert was starting, and it was, is it called King?
For King and
For
Country.
King and Country, yeah. And that was starting, so there was a bunch of commotion, and then I see the rest of my parish coming down like on the opposite side, and they had to transfer over between a bunch of people, but in the end we all ended up coming together. But the concert was, I thought it was a really, really cool experience.
Yeah, they're a great band. They've been playing NCYC. I think this is probably their 3rd or 4th NCYC playing at. Toby Mac was one year. He was good
Yeah,
too.
he was good.
But for King and Country, they're you can find them on Christian radio stations, but they also cross over to mainstream as well. So they're pretty well known. Really, they have a great Christmas album out too. If you like them.
They were actually saying when they were there, they're advertising their brand new movie. They're releasing a documentary about their family life, so where
Wow.
they came from and how they actually got to be this band, which was pretty cool. You can probably find the trailer on YouTube. I can't remember what the name of it was. Does anybody? I can't remember off the top of my head, but if you look up King Country movie, you'll probably find
That's
it.
exciting.
So that was pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
Really cool. And that's the big opening night, right? Where like kind of everything gets introduced. Now, was there a theme this year?
The theme is fully alive.
Fully alive. Okay, so like kind of putting the theme into motion, getting everything going. Was there a keynote speaker the first night? A lot of times they have a keynote that night to introduce some of the exciting times.
I believe the keynote on the first night was the astrophysicist, right? Yeah, he was
Ah,
a priest and he
cool.
was an astrophysicist.
Wow.
So he kind of started talking about space, and most of his talk was like, this is how big the universe is, and this is our part in it. So, like
That's
Oh,
exciting.
put things in perspective, kind of.
Yeah.
You know I love astrophysics. I would have gone there in a heartbeat. I didn't even know that. Now I'm going to look it up and see which guy it was, because I know a whole bunch of them. And okay, that's cool. I'm now officially jealous.
Yeah, when that astrophysicist came on stage, I lost him when he started pulling up like these crazy formulas. It caught me out of nowhere.
That's why I never became an astrophysicist, because I can't do the math.
Yeah.
But I'm an aficionado, not a scientist. But it is fascinating, and it's something that Kari's probably heard me say a lot of times, is that science and faith go together perfectly fine. There needs to be no animosity there. So I love hearing that there was a scientist on the stage speaking to so many faithful young people.
I'm curious, was he a scientist and then had a conversion and a calling into the priesthood, and that kind of was his background, or was he like a priest that worked in this field? Did he say? Maybe he didn't say. I'm just curious if it was said at all.
Well, now I'm going to have to Google who
No,
was
yeah,
there,
we got to
'cause
find this guy.
I got to find out who was there.
Yeah, I don't think he specified, but the way he spoke about it, I'm pretty sure he became a priest and he was very into his faith, and then he wanted to pursue astrophysics to see what the relation between science and faith is. He talked a lot about that. He talked about how the Pope literally has an entire council just to update him on the science in the world and all the brand new stuff. So they do that every year, which is pretty cool to learn about, because I never knew about that. I didn't think the Pope would care about what's going on in the science world. But
it's Father John Cartjee from the Archdiocese of Chicago. Oh, he was ordained a priest in the Archdiocese of Chicago in 2002, and he holds a doctorate degree in Scripture from Catholic University and astrophysics from the University of Chicago.
Yep.
That's impressive.
Okay. Smart guy.
Yeah.
And then that winds down. You kind of head back then and gear up for the big day, which is Friday, really, right? Because it's Thursday night is the big opening, and then Friday's your big day. Which, by the way, you guys all get to skip 2 days of school, right? I mean, is that not one of the best parts of it? Was it easy, hard? How do you feel about that?
That's the reason I went.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the work, like when we came back, especially for me, it was kind of a lot. So like it was hard to catch up on sleep after the NCYC trip.
Yeah, because you're like, I have all this to do and everything, right?
Yeah, but 2 days off.
Yeah, 2 days off. I think I kind of lucked out because I came back and only had a lot of math to do, which didn't really help when I had to do some math at NCYC. But it wasn't that bad. It was worth it.
How many are you all publics? Any of you go to Catholics? We have one Catholic, right?
Yeah, I go to Catholic. I go to St. Augustine Prep.
And the rest of you are publics? That's okay. We love you just the same. It's fine. I was figuring, but I kind of figured that the Catholic kids might be able to get an easier way out to go to a place like that. Although, actually, I just heard recently, the Vicar General of the diocese was explaining to me that he had to write a letter to the principal of a school that wasn't going to allow a student to, I forget if it was NCYC or something else, and the Vicar General wrote a letter to the superintendent of schools and explained to him the value of going to something like this and understanding community and people coming together, not just their faith, but the history and the importance of kindness and good citizenship and all that kind of stuff. And the superintendent of schools went, "Yep, that's good."
Well, if I may add, this was the first year that I had to write a personalized excuse letter on top of the general excuse absence memo that NFCYM releases, and it came from a student from the Catholic school.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you let me know that principal. I'll set them straight. I'll send Kari down.
Yeah, that was the same for me. I even going to the Catholic school, I had to get a whole personalized letter. I handed the lady, the secretary, the memo, and she's like, "This isn't good enough. I don't care if it's a Catholic event. I need all this information." I'm like, "Oh, okay. I thought this would be enough, but I guess not."
Wow.
Yeah, that's typical, though. I feel like even the public schools have pressed the envelope a little bit with the generalized letter. It is it's not really super specific, and it's almost like probably attendance offices can feel like you Googled it and just printed it out. So it's always good to get that personal letter, which is why you got your youth ministers to do those kind of things. Part of what they do.
That actually brings up an interesting idea. I mean, have we ever, to your knowledge, engaged with Catholic ministry directors at the high schools to see if,
they've attended.
They have.
Oh, yeah. And they've also...
Because it would seem like a slam dunk to have some of our Catholic high school.
Yeah, I mean, I know they've attended in the past. I think PVI has brought groups before, and then also, in the past, other Catholic schools have paid partial sponsorship. So actually, PVI was one of them. We had quite a number of students one year from PVI attending, and so they paid half of their way, but they were kind of representing Our Lady of Peace and PVI at the same time. So they took some pictures with PVI shirts on to kind of show they were representing it and used it for publication purposes and all. So they have sponsored youth through the ministries to attend, and I think Oma did that as well. I know they're not within our diocese, but they helped. Like,
Oh no,
partnership.
they're within
They're
our
within
diocese.
it, but they're not a diocesan.
They're independent,
Catholic.
but yeah, but that still counts, and
Yeah.
it's all. I mean, like
Did
the
the
prep.
have you do anything like that or no?
No, we didn't get any sponsorship from them, but everybody, the campus ministry people I talked to, they were like, "Oh, that's really exciting. I want to hear all about it. You know, I want you guys
Good.
to come back." And like, I had to go up in front of my class, and he kind of put us on the spot. He's like, "Okay, so you and you're gonna come up and you're gonna explain to the entire class what you guys did last week and why you weren't in school." And we're like, "Oh, okay." We just kind of got put in the
So
spot.
there was 2 of you.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll have to encourage our
I would.
Catholic ministry directors that we're that are priests
Yeah.
that we're friendly with and owe us favors to remind them that
They should.
they should.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is, and we touched on it a little bit, but is that fundraising and that cost per student. Because what is it, about 800 or
It
so?
was 725 this
yeah.
year.
So right around under that 800 mark, and that's not an easy bill.
No.
And you said you did fundraising. How much were your youth? Did it was about half? Was it 2/3 that your youth got funded?
Well,
for
we
that?
had like different fundraisers, so depending on the need, that's how we matched. How much funds they would get, because we're in a diverse parish, which also comprise of diversity and economic need, and we have a lot that need the financial help.
Sure.
So that's how we run the fund, and we were fortunate enough to have generous parishioners and also community members that helped us raise money for our parish. This is the first year this is the biggest group we've had for Saint Katherine Drexel. There's 19 total from the parish that came, both adults and youth included. So that was really a testament to the generosity and commitment of the parishioners to young people at Saint Katherine Drexel.
I love
great.
to hear that. That's
And I know
really
Our
great.
Lady Peace has always been generous, and you guys did a lot of fundraising. How did it pan out for your youth to be able to go?
Our parish was really fortunate from the very beginning. The cost was always half price. We kind of raised the bar for our fundraising.
Nice.
But also just talking with our priest, I really wanted all of the kids to go. A lot of our ministry grew within the past year. So a lot of them didn't have siblings that went to NCYC before or knew about it. So I wanted to make sure they went. So if cutting the cost in half would mean that they could go, that's what we had to do. We even had an info night, which I don't think we've done before, just to get their interest. So, but luckily we did a lot of fundraisers as well, and we were able to make up for it. So.
That's awesome.
That's great. Yeah, the generosity of the parishioners is always so beautiful, and they want to see the young people experience these great opportunities. So it's always good that that you do these fundraisers and that you don't just say to the parents, "Hey, it's $725, come," because that's not something the average family can afford. So it's great that you've put the time into making these fundraisers well worth it for the youth to be able to attend, and we thank our parishioners in both parishes to be able to do that.
And my son will be in his senior year.
Oh, so you're trying to get him
so
to go.
I'm trying to do the
There you
math
go.
right now. So yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's part of it with the high schools is that that component of not being connected so much to a parish to do these fundraising, and then now where does that money come from? Which
Yeah.
is why that sponsorship opportunity, I think they just they paid half, and they picked a boy and a girl to represent the school at that particular year. I can remember who it was at the time.
I'll help
So-
the schools fundraise.
Yeah. So you can come up with a way, Mike. That's not my wheelhouse. That's more yours
That
and the
is
diocesan
definitely-
department. But
yeah.
I do think that might be a reason why it's not as encouraged, and it's more of a parish-based send.
Okay.
But that being said, we are back to Friday, right, of NCYC. It's a 3-day conference, so the middle day, like anything, like retreats and things that's your full day. That's the long day.
Yeah.
That's the day you're everyone go to bed early because you're gonna get up early and you're gonna go to bed really late. You're gonna be really tired. So what was each of your Saturdays like? What did it look like?
Saturdays or Friday?
Sorry, Fridays. I'm thinking of retreats. Friday for the conference because you leave on Thursday.
So Friday we were up nice and early. We left our hotel at 7 a.m. It was barely sun out, and we walked over.
Was it cold?
Honestly, this was pretty warm. Everybody that I talked to that's been there in the past was like, "This is the warmest year we've ever had." It was like
So
60s
true.
the entire
Awesome.
time.
Oh, you're
So
lucky.
true.
Oh
Yeah,
my
I was.
gosh.
They were like,
We had
"You guys."
snow
are
one
so
year.
I'm telling you, these kids are spoiled.
You have no idea.
So I was
We were
very
driving
happy.
in the snow, fearing our life.
Yeah, no, we had a great time walking outside every time, and in the large groups that connection just to be walking down the street with 2,000 other people all in the same place for the same reason. It's just like, that was a crazy thing to experience. But anyway, so we started and we were over in the convention center 7:30ish, probably. We were like settled in the convention center. And we started out in Lucas Oil. So there was a Christian rapper went on. So everybody was going crazy. At 8 in the morning, there was 13,000 people jumping up and down, screaming. It was crazy. I've never seen that type of energy at 8 in the morning. I don't think I ever will again. So that was pretty cool. And then we had a keynote speaker that morning, right? I can't remember who spoke that morning, I'm going to be honest. Is anybody...
They all blend together.
Yeah.
That's okay. It was yes. That's the thing about conferences is I've been to a lot of them, and things do sort of run together. You take away what you take away, but if you try to explain it to somebody, it can be difficult. So don't worry about that.
Mm-hmm. And then also at that session, there was 5 total sessions over in Lucas Oil Stadium, and every single one had a keynote speaker. And every single one also had a scripture reading from a certain passage. I think they were all from Genesis, actually. The entire theme was like, we started with creation, so we started at the very beginning. We read like Genesis 1:1, and then we went all the way to...
one was human dignity.
Yeah, human dignity. I cannot remember what all 5 of them are. Again, we just said they all blend together. But there was a scripture passage which was really beautiful. And we started off with human dignity, that second one, which was cool to see. And then after that, we were over in the convention center for breakout sessions and free time in the convention center to be able to interact with other youth. And me personally, I traded a lot of hats. I had a great time doing that.
Let's talk about that for a minute, because everyone, that's the big thing, is like the hats and necklaces. And it's even funny because there's like going to be a picture in the Our Lady of Peace Parish bulletin coming up this Sunday, and I'm like, people are gonna be like, what are these kids wearing? But I'm like, I know exactly what this means. So can you share a little bit about what the whole trading and the interaction is like, and why, what's the purpose of all of that?
I was very excited to be trading hats personally, and I honestly, I've never been, so I don't get exactly why we do it, but I think it's just to be able to interact with people in like the community and be like, oh, I got a hat from here. Oh, I got a hat from here.
Exactly, yeah.
Me personally, I just tried to collect as many unique hats as possible. I did 35 total trades, so I was in possession of a lot of hats. And I met a lot of cool people doing that. Everybody was super nice. I'd just walk up, be like, hey, you guys want to trade? Sometimes I'd have to pitch my hat to them, like, oh, this is why you want this hat, and this is why I want that hat, so we should make this trade. And I thought that was a lot of fun. That I had a blast doing that, and I think everybody else that was trading hats like that had a similar experience, and I think that's why we do it.
Yeah, definitely. I was the unofficial entrepreneur for my entire parish.
Nice.
I was like trading all of their hats to them. I had like these spiels for each hat, like guilt tripping these people into giving us these really, really nice hats.
Catholic guilt.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then we'd always like trade our way up, because there was like at the entire conference there was like a hierarchy of hats. There's like,
yeah,
there was like
hierarchy, right.
like the cowboy hats and the bucket hats are kind of like down there, and then you have like these crazy like huge cheese hats, a race car hat, and like all that. Yeah, there were duck hats and all that, and it was crazy.
So what was the Diocese of Camden hat, or the South, or the Jersey hat?
We had the cowboy. We started from the bottom.
Oh, you did that?
It's really hard to
and now you're here.
We worked our way to the top.
We were on a budget, so we had to use the cowboy hat.
Do you have cowboy hats too?
No, we were fortunate. One of our adult chaperones actually was so excited for NCYC. She got a year in advance, the day after Halloween, bought all these different hats from Spirit Halloween that were on sale. So we got like flamingo hats, rainbow hats, banana hats, all different hats.
Yes, that's always the way. The Spirit Halloween, November 1st. Get the 50% off.
That's the carry way.
Yes. Yes.
That is adorable.
That was the way I always did it. And it's good because you can start off with something strong and then you use it as collateral to be able to like trade. But yeah, it's just really for that interaction. I mean, think about it. If there was 13,000 young people walking through the hallways, you probably wouldn't talk to each other too much. But because you have that aspect of trading, that's the whole thing. It's not just hats. It's other things too. It's necklaces. It's keychains. It's wristbands, different bracelets, different things. So I'm sure you came home with a lot of stuff, right? Like bags and bags full of things. Is there anything else that stood out that you liked? Different necklaces or maybe a prayer card, even something spiritual that you received that from NCYC?
So like actually there was like this thing that I didn't even know was going on where people were like putting clothespins on other
That's
people.
Another one,
yeah.
yep.
Yeah, and they're like there were a lot of phone numbers being passed around. And
That's where it starts to take a turn. You're
Yeah.
like, hey, do we want to be trading this?
No, but like most of the people that we called back that put
Yeah.
their phone numbers, they were just like really friendly. They were just like,
Oh,
"Oh,
that's
hi,
cool.
how are you? How was NCYC? Like, what's your favorite part?"
Yeah.
And like it was really funny.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then
people used to do the handle of like Snapchat or Instagram. Do they still have them, or is it just phone numbers?
yeah, they still did that.
Yeah.
There were a lot of snaps and like Instas.
Nice.
Yeah, but the cool thing about this group was the guys were the one like checking out the numbers for the girls to kind of like protect them.
Oh,
And-
that's sweet.
Aw,
Another thing that our parish did was we had a balloon, and we were in one of the breakout rooms, and we all wrote our Instagram handles and signed it on this balloon, and then we also wrote our parish's Instagram handle on the balloon, and then because there were 2 floors, and we were on the top floor, and we dropped the balloon onto the bottom floor, and someone caught the balloon, and we were all yelling, trying to scream for them to follow every single handle on there, and someone actually did ended up
Oh,
following
that's
all of
pretty
us.
cool. That was a good
sweet.
idea. I've never seen that one. That's new.
You know, it's funny. I never experienced what you guys are talking about. My son went away to Boy Scout Jamboree. It was similar. It was 10,000 Boy Scouts and or Scouts, because there's both Boy and Girl Scouts and Scouting now. And it was the exact same thing. It was trading stuff left and right. And he comes back and before he left, he was like, "Dad, I'm not trading anything," because they trade patches. And I was like, "Dad, I'm not trading anything." And then when he came back, he was showing us all the stuff he traded for, and he was like so excited about it all. I was like, I had no idea that was such a youth
That's
activity.
a big thing.
We didn't do any of
It
that stuff.
literally makes NCYC. If they didn't do that, you'd be like, "This is not NCYC. There's no hats. There's no necklaces. What?"
Well, it's great to hear there's so much camaraderie, but I think I'd also like to know what you took away from it in terms of the breakout sessions. You know, I'm a big breakout session kind of guy. So what were some of those about?
Well, I know for me, this was on Saturday, and I had to lead a civil dialogue session. So I just introduced the 2 speakers along with the other youth ambassadors there, but my whole parish ended up attending that breakout session, and I didn't know what I signed up for. So I got there, and they made us do like this icebreaker thing. We had to go around and find people that we didn't know, and they would call out a number, and whatever that number was, you would have to find, like, say the number was 5, we had to find a group of 4 other people. And the last number was 9, and then that 9 was your group for this breakout session. And basically, it was led by a bunch of all adults, and they guided you through a civil dialogue session about different problems going on in the world that you feel a strong connection to and you want to talk about and voice your opinion about. And I'm not a really big talker when it comes to those things. I tend to stand down and not really converse about that. So I was like, this is going to be interesting. Just my luck. This is the session I had to lead.
Yeah.
But
you were assigned that. You didn't choose that.
Yeah, that
right?
one I was. It was mandatory for me to go to. And what was really great though is I met a bunch of other youth, and they were all really, really respectful. Thankfully, on my end, talking about different topics going on in the world. I brought up the COVID-19 pandemic, and I really learned from others too about really listening and opening up, and realizing that there's a bunch of other Christians out there that if you really just listen to everyone, you can learn a lot from other people. Sure. And I learned a lot about this listening and talking, and I can apply that to my own faith too, and being more open with my own faith in my church. So I thought that was probably one of my favorite things that I was able to attend, even though going into it I thought it would be one of my least favorite things that I had to do.
That. Isn't it great? He gives us those little moments to grow, even though we don't choose it. And yeah, you took it as a moment of growth. That's great. How about anybody else? Any big name speakers that you guys got to hear? Anybody that you really enjoyed, something they said that stood out, or a topic that you attended or witnessed in the breakout sessions? Or even a keynote speaker too, because I know those are a big part of the day as well.
Probably my favorite speaker from the entire thing. I'll skip to Saturday night here really fast. At Mass, a bishop, what was his name? Bishop Bronx something.
No,
I cannot.
He's from the Bronx.
He's from the Bronx. his handle is Bishop Bronx. He's the bishop of New York, I believe, and he gave the homily, and he gave this amazing homily. He was kind of calling us all out, 13,000 youth. He's like, you guys need to step it up. Like a lot of the youth in this world, they're just not as strong about their faith anymore, and it's beautiful that all you guys are here, and that you're going on these journeys to be able to deepen your faith. And I thought a lot of the things he said, obviously I can't recite the entire homily from my mind, but a lot of the things he said I just kind of felt on like a personal level that I think a lot of us did, because surprisingly for somebody who was probably in like their 40s and a bishop, he was relating to these anywhere from 13 to 18-year-olds pretty well, which you don't really expect from somebody of his age or bishop. And he was, I don't want to say radical, but I think a lot of the things that he was preaching in it, you don't hear from normal priests. Like every day, you're not going to Sunday Mass and you're not getting a homily, and you're never going to hear the things that he was saying and preaching. But I think that what he was saying was just so important for people to hear that, I really wish that there was a recording of it. I was so sad that nobody recorded it, because I want to listen to that again and just be able to like really dissect it.
Is it on any of the NCYC, maybe YouTube or anything?
One of our young adults actually said she found it on YouTube, that somebody recorded it. But one of the things he was saying, they had in that final Mass, they have all the bishops that attended on stage, and he actually like turned to the bishops and called them out too, and including himself. Like we as bishops, talking about priests, and we can't say Mass and have long faces, and we believing in what we're doing. But the one thing he said was that we have expectations of priests and bishops, well, he doesn't seem excited, or he doesn't look happy, or he doesn't do this or whatever. We put so many expectations on them, but it's not fair, and they have expectations of us as well. And what would that look like? So I thought that was like really interesting.
So if I'm reading this correctly, it was Bishop Joseph Espaillat,
yeah,
the rapping priest.
Yep.
He presented in South Jersey once. I think he did. Because I met him and I took some photographs of him at our diocesan youth congress. This must have been 5-6 years ago. Okay. Yeah. He is a character and a half, and a great speaker. So I could see why you were so impressed by him.
He didn't rap for us, but he did. My favorite thing that he said the entire homily, I remember this quote. He said, when Jesus was alive, I believe that Jesus had a sense of humor. There's no way that he was not making jokes, all the things that he's preaching. There's no way he was just straight-faced, like, not making any jokes about anything. He definitely had a sense of humor, and I think that's just something that nobody ever says.
It makes it so real, It makes it so real and so relatable to you, which is what we need, which is what the young church needs and what you guys need to hear. And that's so exciting to hear, a bishop preaching that to you and to such a wide audience.
Yeah, to piggyback on that, like, the theme was fully alive, and one of the points that he highlighted was to be fully alive was to have fun. I mean, as Catholics, we're known to have the serious faces or the very, very glum demeanor or whatever. But if we are going to share our faith and to share the love of Christ, I mean, we can't be going around with that glum face. We need to show that we're also having fun following Christ. And that's why that whole explanation or emphasis on even Christ himself had a sense of humor. I mean, that's what we need as Catholics too. I mean, yes, we have guidelines, yes, we have rules, but we also need to have fun following Christ. And that joy needs to emanate from us as we go around living our lives. Because otherwise, how are we going to tell people to come follow Christ if all they see is the serious, sad face? I mean, they want to see joy so that when they see that in us, they will be like, oh, I want what she's having.
Exactly.
Can you point me to that? or something.
Thank you, Millet. I've been trying to explain that to my podcast co-hosts for years. That's why I try to be so funny on the podcast. And you guys are all dour and everything, all prayerful and stuff.
I never heard that before. I love joy.
Of course, I know. Actually, you do.
I love being joyful.
Actually, it's funny because you are definitely what I would refer to as a hardcore Catholic. However, you do not live your life with a dour face. For all the struggles that you've had to go through and all the hard work you put into your job, I will say that the people the youth you work with, man, they're always a joyful bunch. And I think that a lot of that emanates from you.
You have a lot of fun.
Yeah,
it's what it's about. I mean, it should be joyful. If it's not, you're doing it wrong.
That's
you're
right.
living your faith wrong. So I want to hear just if each of you can give one takeaway that you got, maybe it's something you learned, something that you're going to grow with, something you've been really thinking about. Kind of what Luke said, that homily. Like, what is each of your one takeaway? Luke, you're going to have to come up with something else for this one. But it could be a funny moment. It could be something that happened on the bus, something that happened at one of the main talks, something that happened at breakout session. One takeaway for each of you guys.
So actually, my main takeaway was from something from the bishop's homily, and it was what my youth leader, Miss Millet, said. Because she also asked me this question, like, what did I take away from NCYC? And it was exactly that. It was to have faith, but to have fun while doing it. Mm-hmm. It really stuck with me. And his homily really woke me up, because our entire parish, we were kind of tired, because it was 10,
the
11,
last day.
something like that. Yeah. And we were we couldn't find a seat, so we were all over the place. They had to open a new seating area for us, all the way on the side. So yeah, it was we were everywhere, and we were tired. But then his homily was
yeah, yeah, we need that.
When he called out the priests and all the jokes I made, it made me laugh and made me fully alive.
Yeah, all right.
Fully alive.
Yeah, I think this whole retreat was just I really took away to really just be one with my faith and realize I take a lot of things for granted, and this was a moment to really I'm away from my social life, I'm away from school, I really had a chance to just zero in with God and focus on my own relationship with Jesus. I remember there was an adoration part in one of the general sessions, and I really took this moment, and maybe I was I had my eyes closed, and I was really just talking in my head with God for a good 10 minutes. And I remember really I was kind of what Aerick was saying, I was really tired, and I was going through a lot, and I just heard the words I'm here, and I'm present, I'm with you, because it's another thing that for me personally, it's kind of whenever I'm going through these hard things, I doubt that God, God's here and present with me. And, I realized he's always here. And this retreat really solidified that, because that was another thing that went on in one of the someone spoke about this too. It's God is always with you. He's no matter what you're going through, he's always there in your corner, even if you don't realize that, and that most people take that for granted. And I realized I was one of those people too. So Beautiful. To take away from that, it's just to really, really be thankful that I was able to experience that and grow with my faith.
Yeah, something that I would I'm not gonna forget is when the whole stadium of 13,000 teens just went quiet, right, a drop of an instant, they just went quiet. And I think it just really symbolized that everyone's in it together. You're not alone, because I feel a lot of people went there thinking, oh, we're just gonna have another fun time with our youth group. But it was really it really put in perspective how many people are in your position, and how many people are going through the same thing as you are, and that you're not alone. And whatever you're going to go through in your faith, you're not alone. God is going to be with you. And it kind of just showed how everyone was going to contribute to that journey with you.
Nice.
Picking one thing is definitely extremely hard past the homily, but I think I'll take something from one of my breakout sessions. For the life of me, I cannot remember what these two's names were. They were the Swaffords. There you go. She was in the same
Sara.
talk. Yep. Yep. They gave an amazing talk about Christian friendship and Christian relationships. And about halfway through the talk, they put this slide up on the projector, and it was like a list of maybe 20 to 50 things that just people struggle with. She said she made this list when she got Post-it notes from talking to a high school. Like, she asked them to write down, what's one thing you guys struggle with? And I'm just reading off this list. I'm like, wow. Like, some of the things on the list I struggle with, I'm like, I didn't think anybody else would have these shame struggles. Like, I thought I was in this by myself. And because she asked everybody to raise your hand if you struggle with one thing on this list. Every single person in the room. There was a couple hundred of us. The entire room was full. Everybody raised their hand. I'm looking around. I'm like, wow. This is a crazy experience. I think that was like the one thing I took away from the entire thing, no matter where we were, if we were with all 13,000 or just a couple hundred, just being like, wow, everybody's in this together. I'm not by myself.
Yeah. And those greater, bigger experiences, they'll give that to you. And that's why, I know I have, and Kat does, and Millet always has, really feel the importance of bringing you guys to these greater, bigger events, so that you see you're not alone. You're part of this greater church that not only extends throughout the U.S. and in this case now more of the eastern part of the U.S., but through the entire world. I mean, it just gets bigger and bigger, and that's why we're the universal church. I mean, it's so beautiful that you get to see that.
I agree. Well, thank you all for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. We're recording late, and I know I'm keeping you guys away from your families, but thank you very much for joining us. And Kari, as always, thank you for being such a wonderful host of having the podcast here. And to our listeners, we'll talk to you again next week. See you, everybody.
God bless.